world's gone to shit, but there's one thing I know. Oh, it's happened before, it'll happen again. Don't despair, don't give up. If you do, oh, they win. So we ride, keeping our heads down until we're on the other side. Oh, we ride, we ride this bullshit out. The game is rigged, the road is hard, but saddle up and play your cards and ride, keeping our heads down until we're on the other side. Oh, we ride, we ride this bullshit out. Everything's gone to hell, just can't trust anyone. All around us is nonsense. Get your boots, saddle up, take the reins, 'cause today we ride, keeping our heads down until we're on the other side. Oh, we ride, we ride this bullshit out. We ride it out. Ooh, ride. We'll always ride this bullshit out.
Hi, I'm Naomi O'Malley. We were given more screenshots that give a further in-depth look at the situation we have been covering thus far. Let's jump in and discuss how narcissists and fandom trolls can easily influence autistic fans, especially vulnerable, impressionable youth. It's imperative that autistic people be made aware of this issue and learn skills to actively avoid being caught up in this trap, both for their own well-being and so they aren't used as vehicles to harm others. After we explain this issue in detail, we will translate the screenshots. Being autistic does not mean one will always be manipulated by a narcissist. It is not universal, and not every autistic person is destined to fall into the trap. Many autistic people actually have strong, healthy boundaries. Narcissists tend to seek out people who have low self-esteem or someone who feels there is something wrong with them. Because a lot of autistic people have trouble making friends, narcissists can easily rope them in by making them feel special and loved in the beginning. A lot of autistic people have trouble saying no as well. Narcissists have a very specific pattern. After you're invested, they slowly ramp up the gaslighting. In the beginning, it's small things that don't add up logically, and your brain scrambles to make sense of it all. You dismiss it because you've got a past of always being invalidated and told how you jump to conclusions are too sensitive, etc. So you fall into that people-pleasing pattern and dismiss it as a you problem. After a while, the antics and gaslighting gets much more emboldened, and your brain is still scrambling to make sense of the chaos because it just isn't logical. But by then, you're probably invested, and this counts with online troll relationships. They make people who are emotionally compromised and awkward feel accepted. These people may not realize that they are harming an innocent victim because they are being conditioned, groomed by the narcissist into thinking their behavior is appropriate. They are rewarded for being white knights. Autistic individuals can be more vulnerable to influence, manipulation, and abuse by narcissists, often due to a combination of inherent traits such as honesty, social naivety, and a desire for social connection. While they are not inherently weak, certain autistic characteristics, particularly if unsupported or undiagnosed, can make them prime targets for narcissistic abuse. Overly trusting in directness, autistic people often take others at their word, assume honesty in others, and do not always detect hidden motives, making them susceptible to manipulation. Desire for connection, social rejection. Due to histories of social rejection or bullying, Some autistic individuals may feel desperate for friendship or romantic relationships, causing them to cling to people who seem to accept them, even if those people are manipulative. Narcissists prey on the vulnerable. They are deceptive and manipulative. Many neurodivergent people are often trusting and naive when it comes to those who lie and are deceptive and manipulative, as they may be unable to pick up on social and communication cues that other people would detect more easily. They often see the best in people and project an idealized version onto a person, and this can cost them dearly in the long run, especially in romantic, intimate relationships and in fandoms where groups become a virtual family. Many are highly empathetic and can feel other people's pain vividly, meaning that they may excuse and tolerate behaviors that others would not. Again, this can be an admirable quality, but it can also place them in danger of abusive and controlling relationships. Critically 2024. Many have low self-esteem, particularly if they have been undiagnosed and unsupported for most of their lives. They have often been told from an early age they are too sensitive, too loud, too hyper, and too emotional, and they may have internalized these ableist and neurophobic put-downs and may believe them. A narcissist will compound these self-esteem issues rather than help improve their self-esteem and support them in being the best version of themselves. Their neurological differences and disabilities make them easier to manipulate, confuse, and entrap. They may struggle to read danger cues and body language. This makes it worse online, where these factors are even harder to interpret. They're easier to convince that the problem is them and not the narcissist who is targeting them or others. A narcissist will evade responsibility, project endlessly, and will generally be emotionally unavailable, immature, or cut off. Many neurodivergent people struggle with emotional regulation, and this can be used against them by narcissists who may claim others are emotionally unstable, mentally ill, and the problem in the relationship wasn't at all. 2024. Many neurodivergent people take things at face value, and this can cost them dearly if they believe everything that is being said to them, and they trust the person implicitly. They tend to not challenge things and may not even notice if things seem questionable. Because of this, they will often not be bothered to engage in civil discourse with the intended victim or do further research to challenge the lack of logic in statements they are being forced to spread or believe. They often will not even realize that they have been goaded or forced into believing lies to harm others for the narcissist's benefit, at both their expense and the expense of the penultimate victim. People-pleasing tendencies may be high, because their conditions may have led to them being criticized and demeaned by others. They are more likely to be used to changing or adapting their behavior for other people's comfort, i.e. masking, camouflaging to try to fit in. Douglas and Sedgwick, 2020. This is highly attractive to a narcissist. Low self-esteem from chronic and persistent validation may mean that they accept and condone harmful behaviors for much longer than other people. Pearson et al., 2024. Those who present as nice can sometimes be the most emotionally and psychologically abusive partners. These forms of abuse can be harder for a neurodivergent person to identify and pick up on, especially in the early stages falling in love of the relationship, and they are particularly vulnerable if undiagnosed or late diagnosed. Bargiel et al., 2016. Respect, trust, and love are developed over time, and feeling things intensely can lead to neurodivergent people entering relationships quickly and impulsively before truly getting to know the person. Smith et al., 2024. You can now see why fandoms are a prime breeding ground for these dangerous conditions. Here are several ways to break free from a relationship with a narcissist. Remind yourself that narcissists are not generally capable of self-reflection, and they will probably not have a genuine desire to change or improve, as they do not see themselves as problematic. Accept the situation, put hope to the side, and make decisions to protect yourself and move on from the relationship as peacefully and safely as possible. Believe actions and not words. Look into the possibility that there could be more than meets the eye Talk to the target you are being made to harass. See both sides of the story. Check your feelings and keep a log of how you feel after spending time with them and engaging in activities or conversations with them. Do you feel drained? What happens after spending time with them? Do you work well as a team together? Do their words align with their actions? Believe what they do, not what they say they will do. Trust your gut. When people are neurodivergent, they often sense something is off and may not always be able to communicate or fully articulate and account for what they're feeling. If something or someone feels off, chances are that something is not right. Give yourself time to process what you are picking up on. Make sure to discuss things in a civil, respectable nature before jumping to conclusions with the target. Allow the other party to explain themselves, but listen carefully. Be aware that the target is often being used to deflect or distract from the narcissist's own issues, especially via blame shifting and projection. The insults being used against the target may actually deeply reflect upon the person making them and those spreading those insults, accusations, etc. If the victim seems to be outnumbered and the party or parties making the accusations seem to have a large following backing them up, this is a red flag. Try to pick up on the things they say and how they say them. If they seem to only care about their needs and not yours as well, this may be a big red flag. Ask them about things that make you uncomfortable or confused. Just remember to stay civil and refrain from being inappropriate with the victim. Give them a fair chance to prove themselves. Remain open-minded and truly neutral toward them unless you have clear logical evidence against them. Refrain from partaking in spreading accusations or rumors without said logical evidence. Logical evidence includes first-hand witness, unedited images or videos, audios, etc. Many times a narcissist will claim to have something and not actually produce anything. This is a manipulation tactic. Timeline and analyze the relationship. How have you changed since you met them? Have you developed mental illnesses or conditions you didn't have prior to meeting them? Were you happier before? How is your self-esteem? Check how you've changed since knowing them. Have they helped you to be the best version of yourself, or do you feel like you have lost yourself when being in the relationship? Healthy relationships help you to thrive. Always remember that. Have you noticed that the accuser may seem to care about themselves more than you? Do others in the group of mutuals agreeing with the accuser seem to be agreeing to things that don't make sense? Do they seem to lack the ability to think for themselves? Do they lack the ability to express differences of opinion over reasonable things without ridicule? Does something about the relationship feel forced? Do you do things because you feel uncomfortable in the relationship? Do others in the group go no contact if possible? All communication with a narcissist should be avoided, as they will probably twist, weaponize, and use our words, actions, behaviors, and neurodivergent traits against us. Remember, in their eyes, they are and will always be the victim, and your explanations, kindness, and empathy will not change that. Find a therapist you can trust and explore attachment styles, love languages, self-esteem, and identify how you ended up in the relationship in the first place. Masking and people-pleasing. To fit into a neurotypical world, many autistic people learn to mask or adopt people-pleasing behaviors, which can make it hard to set boundaries or say no. Difficulty recognizing red flags. Some autistic individuals struggle to identify manipulative, abusive, or gaslighting behaviors in real time, often doubting their own intuition. Conflict avoidance. Autistic people may dislike or avoid conflict, allowing a narcissist's bad behavior to continue without challenge. Perfect victims, because of their trusting nature and potential desire for validation. Narcissists may view autistic individuals as easy targets. Remember, too, that a person can also be both autistic and narcissistic. The natural enemy paradox. Despite the vulnerability, an autistic person's need for honesty and fairness can directly clash with a narcissist's reliance on deception and control, sometimes leading to intense conflict once the manipulation is recognized. Emotional overload. Narcissistic abuse can cause severe stress for autistic individuals, leading to burnout, anxiety, and a feeling of being unsafe. This works for the narcissist. because they know they can easily control and silence their victims when things become too traumatizing. Those who are especially vulnerable need to be made aware of these concerns and learn to be more assertive, gain self-confidence, and learn healthier ways to bond with others and express themselves so as to avoid being led astray. Luckily, several of Grosspecans' friends, Chris, Josh, Drakara, Guthera, and Slant, got tired of his behavior and admitted to what they did. They have changed for the better and have exhibited much better behavior since. They also admitted to how Grosspecans' eepy made them feel uncomfortable and that they didn't like how he made them feel under his control. Because of this, they were forgiven. Guthera also helped Miss Gresley after the harassment made its way to Tumblr. They are still friends, and she is still in touch with the others from time to time. Now that brings us to the screenshots. Right off the bat, we noticed some truly ridiculous false accusations. People on both Reddit and Tumblr were spreading accusations that were not only false, but to add insult to injury, they were copied from previous falsehoods. They saw these things as repeated what they saw. It's so very low effort. This went beyond people who simply had a difference of opinion and allowed them as groups to harass and further traumatize a woman who had been emotionally vulnerable due to years of similar past trauma. Grosspecans had links that people failed to verify as being genuine. We did the legwork here and discovered that these links were either purposely set to places that could not be publicly accessed or were deliberately misleading. Probably both, if we are being honest. There is one link that is claimed to have belonged to Miss Gresley's YouTube channel. Upon clicking it, it leads to an error. Her channel has been verified as being still active. Other links lead to Discord messages and were also most likely fraudulent, especially because it was harder to verify them. Grosspecans' eepy knew most people wouldn't take the trouble to verify the integrity of the links. He even tries to get others to make him a mod on the Thomas sub so he can solidify his power. They also believed messages that were faked, instead of taking the time and effort to look in the actual evidence folder. They were dismissive of the actual facts because this would have broken the chain of validation and potentially broken their delusional relationship. This is a form of confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the cognitive tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information that confirms or supports one's pre-existing beliefs, values, or hypotheses. It acts as a mental shortcut, heuristic, that allows people to make decisions quickly but often inaccurately, leading them to disregard contradictory information. Those choosing to take Grosspecans' eepies or even Densinate or Dirty Percy 6 traumatized we side exemplify a form of the strawman fallacy. Rather than debating a claim based on its merits, people sometimes substitute a distorted, exaggerated, or otherwise ridiculously misrepresented version of the argument to more easily attack it. This is called the straw man fallacy because, like replacing a real person with a person made of straw, you're replacing a stronger argument with a weaker one in order to more easily discredit it. Straw man arguments are quite common and shockingly dumb. You're pro-choice. You enjoy killing babies, I see. You want to reduce the defense budget. You must hate the military and don't support our soldiers. A lot of the statements made against Miss Gresley followed this format to a T. They went from making something that could arguably be somewhat plausible to ridiculous and illogically unfounded. They only appear true because a large group promoted them. Ms. Gresley holds beliefs that some corners of the fandom don't agree with, and thus an assumption about her is passed off as a fact. This still does not make it true. They went from making something that could arguably be somewhat plausible to ridiculous and illogically unfounded. They only appear true because a large group promoted them. Even some of the moderators of other servers were dismissive of her in order to preserve their own statuses. Reddit user OK Upstairs 9,887 claimed they got banned from a subreddit using the word damn. In reality, it was because they were slandering Miss Gresley and perpetrating abuse. Others who participated in abuse include Ed the Animator 2, 7, Y 4079, The Just Man 1, Carl Jensen, Chumbucket Man, Nav Blue Cooler, Surrogate R2, lazy old fusspot, 3,248. Helpful light, 3,452. Sophie Byers, Deathman, 35. No raspberry, 8,477. Hot Joan at 863. Percy the Caterpillar. Thomas Miaira, who is another known predator in the fandom called Alex Deer. He has posted truly disturbing sexual pictures with his My Little Pony plushes and has exhibited questionable behavior at conventions and defends other trolls such as Brian Seabolt and Soda Production. Even when grosspecans talks about Miss Gressley supposedly faking her accent, this is a form of projection. When he's confronted, he himself lies about having an accent that he doesn't really have. He also used the fake accent as an accusation toward another person defending Miss Gressley and the folks she was defending. Narcissists frequently repeat lies, not necessarily due to poor memory, but as a tactic to control perception, maintain a grandiose self-image, and manipulate others by creating confusion, gaslighting victims, and avoiding accountability for their actions, often by embedding these falsehoods into their rehearsed greatest hit stories. They repeat lies to brainwash victims into believing them, avoid shame, and solidify their false reality, even if their actions contradict their words. He has video of him on his own channel with a clearly American accent. The excuses he uses don't make any sense. He says he claims to use an American accent in order to sound easier to understand. His ability to manipulate autistic members of the fandom is why he can get away with being extremely offensive, and they still defend him. It's painful to watch from the outside. He is exploiting their disability and vulnerabilities for his own benefit. And this continued on for years after, like the aftershocks that follow an earthquake. Despicable. Why is this? Again, because many autistic people are easily trusting, grosspecans eepy knew he could take advantage of this. He knew they'd agree without checking any links. He knew he would be able to manipulate their trust easily. He relied on a fallacy called the argument from motives fallacy, the fallacy of declaring a standpoint or argument invalid solely because of the evil, corrupt, or questionable motives of the one making the claim. Miss Gressley is older and drools over trains. So to their logic, this is enough to see her as a predator. They don't see that it's prejudice and lacks any tangible proof. These two things are not really related, but are intentionally worded to be deceptive. No one wants to challenge him, so they try to reason using out-of-context excuses which back up his false claim, and thus provide him and anyone else who agrees with him with validation. This is used in conjunction with the red herring fallacy, an irrelevant argument, attempting to mislead and distract an audience by bringing up an unrelated but emotionally loaded issue in varying forms. Gross eepy made this clear when he'd publicly cheer and gloat over how he was gaining validation via followers. He even went so far as to gloat over how he was going to silence her outright and how he was going to ruin those who didn't agree with him. He detailed how he wanted to raid their servers and create havoc. He'd come close to admitting to doing something, then purposely shift the conversation to deflect and deceive. He and later Dancinator Dirty Percy 6 traumatized, recapitalized on the vulnerabilities of other autistic people, as well as their prime penultimate victim, because to them she was an outsider who didn't belong. There was no actual proof that Miss Gressley had done anything wrong, but many fans were easily manipulated into believing so. And because they trust too easily, would rather trust what was familiar, meaning grosspecans eepy. They trusted the villain and thus became minions, because this is a common issue in the fandom. Also, before anyone asks, can an autistic person also be narcissistic? Absolutely. Like other people, this doesn't mean that every autistic person is narcissistic, but it can overlap, just as with non-autistic people who have issues. This behavior isn't edgy, it's abuse. Clear and simple. And many people in the fandom participated in it. Ms. Gressley also shared some extremely offensive OnlyFans profiles who she reported, and was reprimanded by Reddit for abusing the ability to report. This also fed into more manipulators, many of which were also narcissists who knew how to work the system for their own benefits. This failure to reprimand actual predators caused even more harm. Some of these OnlyFans profiles even harassed Miss Gressley with insults similar to the fandom narcissists and their enablers. Miss Gressley has noted how this has caused both herself and others, including those who she defended, more lasting trauma to deal with, some of which will take years, perhaps decades. This should serve as a poignant lesson for all, especially for those who are most vulnerable, the easily impressionable masses.
Atop a burdened donkey rode a stranger into town, tilted in the saddle, one leg dragging on the ground. He had crooked eyes, a crooked nose, could look both ways as he crossed the road. The rope that held his pants up was barely even tied. He slid off his steed and took a big swig from a flask. Then he said out loud, although nobody had asked, "I'm just a dumb fuck from bumblefuck nowhere." He had bloodshot eyes, a dripping nose. Then through all the chaos we all started hearing clops. He was the dumb fuck from bumblefuck nowhere. "Look, my friends, are you sure you wanna go there?" said the dumb fuck from bumblefuck nowhere. Oh, to my surprise, I saw a glint of fire in those crooked-looking eyes. He was the dumb fuck from bumblefuck nowhere. The dumb fuck from bumblefuck nowhere. And it sure was a sight to see. They set 10 men up, he knocked 10 men down, and any man who took a stand was sentenced then to die. He was a dumb fuck from bumblefuck nowhere. He was the dumb fuck from bumblefuck nowhere.